Life has a strange way of forcing us to confront our true selves. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to see what truly matters. For me, it all started with one moment. I lost my job. The career I had spent over a decade building was gone in an instant. At first, I thought it was just a temporary setback, something I could recover from quickly. But losing my job was just the beginning. Without financial security, everything else started to fall apart. My long-term relationship, once stable, began to crumble. The home I had worked so hard to secure? Gone. Family conflicts I had ignored for years resurfaced. One by one. The things I had spent years chasing success, believing that stability meant happiness. But now, with nothing left, where am I heading? Am I truly living the life I want? This is my story, a story about losing everything and discovering something far more valuable in return. If you've ever felt lost, uncertain, or stuck in a life that doesn't feel like your own, then maybe this story is for you too. A stable life that felt empty. Losing my job felt like the biggest failure of my life. But in reality, it was the moment that forced me to see the truth. For over a decade, I had worked relentlessly, climbing the corporate ladder in the sales industry. I started as a merchandiser, earning just enough to get by. But I was determined to succeed. I pushed myself, learned everything I could, and took every opportunity that came my way. By the time I was 32, I had achieved what many would call a dream career. I was a European manager, earning a salary far above the national average. I was respected in my field, leading teams, making decisions that impacted entire regions, and living a lifestyle that looked impressive from the outside. But no matter how many promotions I earned, no matter how much my paycheck increased, there was always a quiet voice in the back of my mind asking, "Is this really it?" I ignored that voice for years, convincing myself that financial success was the key to happiness. But something was missing, something I couldn't quite put into words. Beyond my career, my personal life was equally structured and stable. I had been in a long-term relationship for 8 years. We had a house together, a life that seemed settled. From the outside, everything looked perfect: a strong career, a committed relationship, financial security. It was the kind of life people dream of. Yet, deep inside, I felt lost. I didn't know what I was truly passionate about. I didn't have a clear dream that excited me. My life was comfortable, but was it meaningful? I often asked myself, am I happy? Or am I just used to this life? But I never answered that question. I kept moving forward, following the path I had set for myself years ago, hoping that one day, everything would just click into place. This video was produced by Rocket Motivation. Please like and subscribe to support us. Thank you for listening. Feeling like an outsider in my own life. Then, one day, I took a step back and looked at my life. It felt like I was watching a movie, one where I was just a supporting character. Everything was happening around me, but I wasn't really living it. My decisions were guided by what was expected of me, not by what I truly wanted. I had spent so many years following the script of a successful life that I had forgotten to ask myself, is this really my story? I had money, I had a house, I had a career and a relationship, but I didn't have a sense of purpose. And when I lost my job, the foundation I had built my life on started to collapse. That was when I was forced to face the truth: I had never truly felt fulfilled. The collapse. Losing everything. Everything unraveled faster than I could comprehend. It all started with losing my job. One day, I was leading teams, making decisions, feeling secure in my role, and the next, I was told my position was no longer needed. Just like that, the career I had spent 12 years building was gone. At first, I tried to stay optimistic. I convinced myself that I would find another job soon, that this was just a temporary setback. But weeks turned into months, and the reality sank in. I had tied my entire identity to my work. And now that it was gone, I felt like I no longer knew who I was. Then, the next domino fell: my relationship. For years, it had been on shaky ground, but we ignored the cracks. We told ourselves we were fine, that things would work out. But when I lost my job, the tension we had buried for so long rose to the surface. The relationship that had once felt like a home became a source of pressure and frustration. And then, just like my job, it was over. With no job and no relationship, I could no longer afford to keep our home. The place I had once thought of as my refuge, my security, was no longer mine. I lost my house. At the same time, family conflicts resurfaced. My father and I hadn't spoken in over a decade. My relationship with my mother was strained. I had spent so many years prioritizing my career that I hadn't realized how distant I had become from my own family. In the span of a few months, everything that had defined my life was gone. I had no job, no home, no relationship, no strong family support. I was completely alone. I had always been a positive, energetic person, the kind of person who believed that everything happens for a reason. But for the first time in my life, I couldn't see the silver lining. I had no plan, no direction, no clear future ahead of me. Every morning, I woke up feeling empty, wondering what had happened to the person I used to be. Desperate to regain some control, I decided to start my own business. Selling was the only thing I knew, so I found a supplier, set up a small operation, and poured what little money I had left into it. At first, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was my fresh start. Maybe this was the moment I would turn things around. But reality hit fast. Sales dropped 90% within months. My savings vanished. My business collapsed before it could even take off. Now, I wasn't just jobless, I was bankrupt. I had no safety net left. I had failed. The moment of realization. I had spent years ignoring my unhappiness, convincing myself that I was on the right path. I told myself that money, career growth, and stability were enough. But when I had nothing left, no job, no income, no relationship, no home, I was forced to face the truth. I hadn't been happy for a long time. I had just been too afraid to admit it. Sitting alone in my tiny rented apartment, surrounded by uncertainty, a single question echoed in my mind. Who am I when everything is taken away? And that was the question that changed everything. Awakening from rock bottom. The life-changing question. What do I have when I have nothing left? I had hit rock bottom. Everything I had once built, my career, my relationship, my financial stability, was gone. I had lost the foundation I had spent years constructing. And in the silence of my empty apartment, I was left with nothing but my thoughts. I remember sitting there, staring at the walls, feeling like a complete failure. The person I had been for the past decade no longer existed. And in that moment, a single question surfaced in my mind. What do I have when I have nothing left? For the first time in my life, I had no external achievements to define me, no job title to introduce myself with, no stability to lean on. Just me, stripped down to my core. At first, my mind was blank. It felt like I had lost everything. But as I sat with the question, something stirred inside me. A realization began to form, one that had been buried beneath years of chasing external success. I may have lost my job, my house, my financial security, but there were three things that had never left me. Imagination, the ability to see beyond my current circumstances, to dream of something different, something better. Belief in possibilities, the understanding that no matter how bad things seemed, there was always another way forward. Courage to never stop, the determination to keep moving, even when every door seemed closed. These were the things that had fueled my journey all along. Not my job, not my money, not my relationship. It was these core values that had allowed me to succeed in the first place. And now, in my lowest moment, they were the only things I had left. But maybe, just maybe, they were the only things I truly needed. Discovering my true values. For years, I had measured success by external markers: salary, job titles, assets, relationships. But now that all of those things were gone, I was forced to ask myself, what truly made me successful before? The answer had nothing to do with money or titles. Looking back, I realized that the moments when I had truly thrived weren't because of the position I held or the paycheck I received. It was because of the mindset I carried, the ability to adapt, to believe in opportunities even when they weren't obvious, to push forward when things got tough. That was what had propelled me forward all these years. And now, I had a choice. I could continue to see myself as a failure, defined by what I had lost, or I could recognize that the very qualities that had built my past success were still within me. The world had taken everything external from me, but it couldn't take away who I was at my core. That realization changed everything. I had nothing to lose, which meant I had everything to gain. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something unfamiliar but powerful: hope. This was the beginning of a new journey. Let me know if you'd like any refinements before moving on to the next section. V. The journey of rebirth. The journey of rebirth. For years, I had lived according to expectations from society, from my career, from my relationship, even from myself. But now, for the first time, I had nothing left to uphold. No job title to maintain. No relationship to navigate. No financial security to protect. And so, I made a decision. I would stop living for others and start living for myself. I moved out, choosing to live alone for the first time in my life. It wasn't just about changing my environment, it was about removing distractions. About creating space to rediscover who I really was. For the first time in years, I sat with my own thoughts. I let myself feel the weight of everything I had lost, not with regret, but with curiosity. I stopped running, stopped chasing, and instead, I started listening. What did I actually want? What kind of life would truly fulfill me? Who was I beyond my job and my past successes? The answers didn't come all at once. But as the days passed, I felt something begin to shift. I had spent my entire life trying to succeed in the way society defines success. Now, I was determined to define it for myself. Finding my true calling. It wasn't an easy process. Some days, I felt lost. Other days, I felt frustrated, questioning if I would ever find a new direction. But amidst the uncertainty, one thought kept returning to me. There must be other people like me, people who feel lost, who have built their lives according to what they should do, only to realize that it doesn't fulfill them. And then it hit me. What if my struggle wasn't just something to overcome, but something to share? For years, I had been good at sales, but I had never felt connected to it. What I had always loved, truly loved, was seeing the light in someone's eyes when they realized their own potential. I had always been fascinated by people's dreams, by what truly made them come alive. And at that moment, I knew. My true calling wasn't in selling products, it was in helping people find clarity, courage, and purpose in their own lives. That's when I made the biggest decision of my life. I would become a speaker. I would use my experience, not just my professional success, but also my failures, to inspire others. I would help people find meaning in their struggles, just as I had found meaning in mine. This wasn't just a career choice. It was my mission, starting from zero. But knowing my purpose and pursuing it were two very different things. I had no background in public speaking. I had no idea how to build a career in it. I had no connections, no mentor, no roadmap. All I had was a decision. I was going to try. I started from zero, reading, learning, watching speakers I admired. I practiced speaking alone in my apartment. I reached out to small groups, offering to share my story. At first, it was terrifying. Stepping into a world I knew nothing about felt overwhelming. But then I reminded myself, I had already lost everything. What did I have to lose now? I embraced the discomfort. I welcomed the fear. And step by step, I began building a new path, one that, for the first time in my life, felt truly mine. I was no longer trying to rebuild the life I had lost. I was creating a new one that was fully aligned with who I was meant to be. Strategies for finding yourself. The journey of transformation doesn't happen overnight. It takes introspection, patience, and courage. But the most important realization I had during my lowest moments was this. The answers were never outside of me. Everything I needed was already within me. I just had to see it. If you're feeling lost, uncertain, or trapped in a life that doesn't feel like your own, here are the strategies that helped me rebuild myself from the ground up. Look at what you already have. When we go through a major loss, it's easy to focus on what's missing. We see the gaps, the failures, the things we no longer possess. But if you shift your focus, you'll realize that even in the darkest moments, you still have something valuable, your inner strengths, your experiences, and your mindset. For me, when everything was taken away, I discovered that I still had imagination, the ability to think beyond my current reality, belief in possibilities, the understanding that change is always possible, courage, the willingness to keep going, no matter how uncertain the path ahead. These weren't external possessions, they were part of me, and that meant they could never be lost. So ask yourself, what qualities have always been part of you? What strengths have helped you in the past? You might be surprised at how much you already have. Define your vision of the ideal life. Most people live their lives reacting to circumstances rather than creating the life they truly want. But you can't build a meaningful life if you don't know what you're aiming for. Take a step back and ask yourself, what does my ideal life look like? What kind of work excites me? Where do I want to live? What kind of lifestyle do I want? Who do I want to be surrounded by? How do I want to feel every day? Your ideal life doesn't have to match what society expects. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to feel right for you. Identify what makes you unhappy and understand why. Before you can move toward happiness, you need to recognize what's holding you back. Often, we accept unhappiness because it feels familiar. We stay in jobs we hate, relationships that drain us, and routines that make us miserable, simply because they feel safe. But if you don't question your dissatisfaction, you'll stay stuck in it. Take time to reflect. What are the things in my life that I dislike? What patterns keep repeating that make me unhappy? Are there expectations from others that I've been following without question? For years, I ignored my unhappiness. I told myself that I should be happy because I had financial security, a stable job, and a relationship, but deep down, I knew I was unfulfilled. And once I admitted that to myself, I could finally start making real changes. Redefine the life you truly want. Once you've identified what's making you unhappy, the next step is to replace it with what you actually want. If your job drains you, what kind of work would energize you? If your routine feels stagnant, what experiences would bring excitement? If your relationships feel unfulfilling, what kind of people do you want to surround yourself with? Don't limit yourself to what feels realistic right now. Dream without restrictions. Your new life starts with clarity, and clarity starts with daring to imagine something better. Understand the deep reason behind your desire for change. Surface-level goals won't sustain you. You need a deep reason, a purpose behind why you want to change. Ask yourself, why do I want a new life? What does it truly mean to me? For me, I realized that my purpose wasn't just about making money or having a career. It was about helping others see what they were truly capable of. That was what had always energized me, even when I didn't recognize it. When you know why you want something, you'll have the fuel to keep going, no matter how hard the journey gets. Discover your true passion. A passion isn't just something you like doing. It's something that excites you, something that you could spend hours on without noticing time passing. To find your passion, ask yourself, what are the things that have always interested me? Even as a child, what activities make me feel energized rather than drained? If I didn't have to worry about money, what would I spend my time doing? What kind of conversations do I love having? For me, I realized that I loved talking to people about their dreams. I loved helping them see possibilities they hadn't considered. And that's what led me to public speaking and coaching. Your passion is already inside you. You just have to uncover it. Turn your passion into concrete action. Passion alone isn't enough. You have to do something with it. If you love writing, start a blog. If you love helping people, find a way to teach, mentor, or coach. If you love art, start creating every day. The key is to start, even before you feel ready. When I decided to become a speaker, I had no experience, but I started anyway, practicing alone, speaking to small groups, putting myself in situations where I had to grow. Action creates momentum, and momentum leads to transformation. Identify your core values. Your values shape your decisions, your habits, and ultimately, your destiny. But many people never take the time to define what truly matters to them. Ask yourself, what principles have guided me throughout my life? What do I believe in so strongly that I would never compromise on? What kind of person do I want to be? For me, I realized that my life had always been guided by 3 values. Imagination, the ability to see beyond limitations. Belief in possibilities, the refusal to accept impossible. Courage, the commitment to keep going, no matter what. Once you define your core values, use them as a compass for every decision you make. Have the courage to pursue without giving up. Rebuilding your life is not easy. There will be setbacks. There will be moments of doubt. But success belongs to those who refuse to quit. If I had stopped after my first failed business attempt, I wouldn't be where I am today. If I had let fear control me, I would have never stepped on stage for the first time as a speaker. You have to keep going, even when it's hard, even when it's uncertain. Because the truth is, one opportunity, one person, one moment could change everything. And that moment will only come if you keep moving forward. Your new life starts now. The life you desire is not some distant dream. It's already inside you, waiting to be realized. You don't need to search outside of yourself for answers. Everything you need is already within you. So ask yourself, are you ready to start? The answer was always within you. For years, I searched for meaning in external achievements, titles, financial success, stability, I believed that if I could just reach the next milestone, I would finally feel fulfilled. But when I lost everything, I was forced to confront a truth I had ignored for far too long. Happiness, purpose, and success do not come from what you acquire. They come from what is already inside you. When everything was stripped away, my job, my home, my relationship, I thought I had nothing left. But in reality, I still had everything I needed to rebuild my life. I had imagination, the ability to see beyond my current reality and dream of something greater. I had belief in possibilities, the understanding that even in my darkest moments, there was still a way forward. I had courage, the resilience to keep moving, even when I had no guarantees. These were not things I lost when my career ended. They were part of me all along. And they are part of you too. Your life is in your hands. If you are feeling lost, if you are questioning where your life is heading, if you are struggling to find meaning, know this: you already have everything you need to create the life you desire. The answers are not in another job, another paycheck, or another external achievement. The answers are inside you. Your strengths are already within you. Your passions are already within you. Your purpose is already within you. All you have to do is stop looking outside and start looking within. The time to start is now. I spent years waiting for the right moment to make a change. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. You will never feel 100% ready. You will never have absolute certainty. You will never have a guarantee that everything will work out. But you don't need any of that. All you need is to take the first step. One small action, one decision to move forward, one moment of courage, because one opportunity, one chance, can change everything. And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll realize you were never lost. You were just waiting to find yourself again. Your journey begins now. I found my purpose in the midst of losing everything. What about you? Will you wait for life to force you into change? Or will you choose to step into the life you were meant to live, starting today? Because everything you need is already within you. And now, it's time to claim it.